It's bright, it's white, it's full of fight. The Nissan Sentra. This is my 20,000 mile review of the Nissan Sentra. Actually, I put plus 20,000 miles on this vehicle, getting ready to bring it back. So, wanted to tell you what I thought. Non-biased review. I do not work for a car dealership. I do not work for Nissan. I am a driver, all right? This is a driver's review of this vehicle, non-biased driver review. You ready? Yeah, man, this would be a 22,000 mile test drive. And you ask, how the hell do you do 22,000 mile test drive? This is a rental, all right? And this, I am a Lyft driver. So, hopefully that answers that question. I put a lot of miles on them, driving all day long, 8, 10 hours, 12 hours a day sometimes. Yeah, we're on the road quite a bit. So yeah, that car came with a 1 cigarette lighter thing here. You also have a USB aux cord in the console. The gas receptacle, all right? You put gas over here on the opposite of the driver's side, which is annoying. Don't like that, Nissan. Come on. And the gas door release is down here, right below the steering wheel there, right next to the hood release. The Nissan Sentra has keyless entry. So you have this fob and you have this button, all right? So now what happens is you put your foot on the brake and that's how you start the vehicle. As long as your keys are in your pocket, the vehicle will start and the instrument panel will fire up. And yeah, it's cold outside. Frozen morning, warming up the Sentra. Here's the keys are in my hand. It's kind of a cool feature. You can warm it up, lock it, and while it's warming up, it's locked and there's no key detected. It will show on the dash. Are running or not running, hit this button, doors lock. That's all you need to do to lock the car getting out. As long as the key is in your pocket now, all right? So we'll do a little experiment for security purposes to see how safe your Nissan Sentra is sitting there running without keys. All right, putting the keys here on the bench, about 15-20 feet away, walking up to the Sentra, and see that? That door is locked. It won't open unless it's on my body. I've noticed the car is locked. Unless this key is on me, like right next to this lock, it's not opening. Okay, so I unlocked it on the key fob, sitting in the vehicle. You can see where it says no key detected. And the key is still sitting over there, about 20 feet away. Now, here's a thing. Can you still, let's say somebody bashes your window out while your Nissan Sentra is warming up in the morning. Can you still drive it without the key? Well, let's see here. All right, without the key in it, can I pull it out of park? Yes, well, yes I can. There we go. Putting it in reverse. No keys in the vehicle. And, well, yep. Someone could steal your Sentra and drive it away without the key. So that's not such a good thing. This is something I've read about with these keyless entry, no key cars. The security is kind of wonky. So it's a con. That's a con. Depending on where you live, you know, you're pretty safe. I've noticed with the door lock entry that it has to be on my body in order to open the trunk or open the door. If it's even a few feet away, it won't open the car. So the door locks are pretty secure. And to be perfectly clear, this car will not start without a key, all right? So the key has to be on your body in order for the ignition to fire up. It's got to be in your pocket. It can't be outside the car. I tested that too. This vehicle will not start unless the key is on you, all right? Wanted to make that clear. But once the key has fired up the ignition and you bring the key inside, yeah, you can still get in this car and drive away. And that I would see as a con. So a bit of a security risk with the 2017 Sentra here. And that's kind of the technology of these keyless starting systems. All right, so turning off the vehicle, you bump it, it stops. Now, what if you want your accessories on, right? Let's say I'm sitting here, I don't need the engine running, want the accessories on, you just hit this again. Oh, well, there's no key detected, so it's not going to turn on. So yeah, now that I have the keys in my hand, it's detecting the keys are within range, and that will fire up the ignition. And so this guy comes on when you turn the car off, and it shows you, hey, this is what you need to do to start the car, just to remind you. Like I said, again, if you just want to run accessories, say you're waiting for someone, you don't want to run the engine, you turn that on, and that fires up the accessories in the vehicle, so you're not running it and wasting fuel. All right, so you got a big instrument panel here on the Nissan Sentra. You got things here on the steering wheel as well. Starting it up, and boom, everything comes on. You got a little screen in the middle. You've got this screen. This is not a touch screen, by the way, which I wasn't super happy about. You got these buttons that run things and media. This back button is important because you'll get into things and go, how do I get out of here? And the back button is going to be helpful for that. So you got AM, FM, Bluetooth. The Bluetooth syncs up with my phone real well. I was real happy with that. I like the way it syncs up with Bluetooth. So on the steering wheel here, you have your volume for your stereo. This will, like if you're on Spotify or something, this I found a little annoying. Like you can bump to the next song, which is great. Like if you're listening to a song or a podcast. But if you're listening to a podcast and you're like an hour in and say you turn a corner or you have to, right, you bump this. This is what I found really annoying. Like, oh man, like where was I in that podcast? Depending on what podcast app you use, that can be really not so cool. So this thing kind of sticks out a little and it bumps your song or your podcast forward. Didn't like that so much. So right here you have back button and then you have the screen button. So this screen button, so yes, in order to access what's on that screen, this button here right under the volume controls, you push that and that's what goes on. It controls this little screen in the middle. Right now it's because it's below freezing, it's telling me it's cold outside. Fuel economy, I'm getting about 30 miles to the gallon. This car gets really good gas mileage, by the way. For an all-gas, non-hybrid vehicle, this vehicle probably has the, I would say, probably has the best gas mileage of any vehicle I've ever driven. That's not a hybrid, all right? Pure gas engine, about 30 to 31, 32 miles per gallon the way I drive, all right? And that's really good. The Chevy Sonic I had did not get that great this good a gas mileage. It got pretty good gas mileage, but not this good. So there's a plus for fuel economy. We'll go through the screen here. You have whatever's playing on your, your Bluetooth or your aux. This just says the aux cord is is on. I don't have my Bluetooth because it'll jack with this video. No warnings. This will tell you if there's any codes that have come up, and it's been pretty good. So here's settings, clock, change the clock. You can go from metric to but anyway, yeah, it does maintenance. It tells you, here's this little thing. It shows the car, kind of the back of the car, and when lights come on and stuff. Anyway, so that's your average speed, distance. You got two trip distance speed things, 20,200 miles. It only goes up to about 10,000 miles before it cycles. So yeah, and then you have the back button here, which is nice. On the other side, cruise control. You turn off the cruise control and turn it on and off here. It's got this cool feature where you can, you kick it into gear where you're, then you're cruising, and then you can actually accelerate, decelerate without touching the pedal, which is nice. Cancel button up here. You can answer the phone without taking your hands off the wheel, which is nice. And that's the steering wheel instrument panel. Another cool thing this thing has is you can hook up multiple phones on the Bluetooth. So you hit Bluetooth, add phone. Even with passengers, I've had passengers get in, and this guy was like, "Oh yeah, I had one of these cars. Let me show you something." And he showed me that you can easily add a new phone using this feature, and it just add phone, boom, it'll, put the phone in there, and it's a really cool feature. Your equalizer's right there as well, mess with all that. That's the instrument panel. It's okay. Not a lot of points for the fact that it doesn't have a touch screen. The heat controls are super cheap looking. I mean, this is about the same as heat controls in a Nissan have been since, I don't know, 1982 or something. There's not a lot of upgrade when it comes to that. Your standard shift box and the automatic transmission. And it's snowing. Anyway, the back seat is roomy. Even with this seat as far back as it is, got lots of room back here. This center console comes down. It can go back up in there. These seats fold down, all the way down, so you can put big stuff from the trunk, which I'll show you how that works. Again, you have the sensor here, and it works with the key in your fob in your pocket, so you don't have to fumble around for keys. Big trunk. On the back of the back seat here, this pulls up, and the seats come down. And yeah, this one folds down too. Got that one right there. So you can put some stuff through here. Cool little area for hauling. Kind of like the big trunk. It's one of the cool features of this vehicle. This one has just the hubcaps. It's sort of a mess driving in the snow. Pros and cons of CVT transmission. All right, this vehicle has a continuous variable transmission, also known as a stepless transmission, a shiftless transmission, although it does shift, you can feel it shift. Also known as a pulley transmission, because there's like a rubber band thing inside of it. I'm not making this up. This transmission behaves a lot differently, and it does take a little getting used to. I thought, what the heck's wrong with this car? Nothing wrong with it. It just behaves differently. The transmission behaves differently. It makes it a little weird to drive, I'll be honest. Now, as a mechanic, the mechanic in me, as a guy who's been working on cars since I was, 14 years old, there's a concern about these transmissions. A lot of us mechanics don't like them. Called my friend that works down at Nissan, and he was telling me that basically what's going on, Russ, there's no rubber band. Right? There's not like a rubber thing or a silicone thing. He said it's a chain, so there's a kind of a chain technology in these CVT transmissions that helps them shift. And this vehicle, the 2017, is the third generation of this technology. So what he said, I said, be honest with me, you know, give me the straight scoop. And he said the first generation had a lot of problems. The second generation of the Nissan CTV transmissions was probably the best. He said barely any problems with those. The third generation comes out, and he said they wanted to make them a little more economical. They wanted to lean into fuel economy and making a green vehicle, all right? So he said these ones have had a little more problems. He goes, I would, if anyone's considering buying one of these vehicles, being an extended warranty past 125,000 miles, you may run into transmission problems with these vehicles. The scheduled maintenance on them is about 60,000 miles. Third generation, he said, again, it's the way the chain works. There's a chain in it, and it's just a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that can go wrong with it. So, yeah, the CVT transmission, something to know about. All right, so driving this vehicle through the snow, it's okay to drive. It's got the kind of cool hood scoop looking thing on the front. That feels sort of fun. Snow in Seattle. Adverse weather conditions. How does it do in the snow? Snow driving in this vehicle is about like any other front-wheel drive vehicle. It does pretty good. A lot better than rear-wheel drive handling in the snow. I like it. Here we are at the park. The river, swollen river. But yeah, we're not having a problem. The snow in Seattle's pretty rare. Maybe once a year we'll get a little blast like this. There's a few inches on the ground out here. I'm at the park, and no problems at all. Not slipping, not sliding. I did on the ice a little last night, but traction control kicks in, and you know, I'm doing pretty well. All right, and there it is, the Nissan Sentra. Get ready to take it back. It's in good shape, looks good. It's a good little car to drive, worth the price. Get that extended warranty, you'll be good to go. Hey, hit the subscribe button. More auto stuff, auto videos. And thanks for watching. Until next time, give me a like. Later.